Welcome to Conversations with Verdel Jones. I'm your host, Verdel Jones, and being an educator at heart, I'm dedicated to sharing conversations that inform and enlighten in the hopes that you learn something you may not have known. So thank you for tuning in. We are here live at Paradise Studio on the Strong Island Television Network. I want to thank everybody for watching, and please make sure you like and share the show so everybody can check out what's going on. Before we really get into it, I want to let you know that this is season 5 of the show, and season 5 is about embracing your life, and we'll be here every second and fourth Thursday. A new time though, 6:30 p.m. Great guests, great conversations. We are also looking for partners with your very own Conversations with Verdel Jones mugs, and you can get those on my website. So, be part of the show. Get your mug today. All right, so let's go straight to the week in review. We have a lot of things that have went on. There was really, some great events we went to. I'm going to be focusing on one in particular, but before we do that, during the week in review, I like to highlight some upcoming events. So I would like to make everyone aware about the Man in the Mirror presenting the Dinner with Daddy event. So that's coming up on November 9th. So you can check out that information. And if you would like to attend this great event, I think it's a great way to bring father and daughter together in a nice setting. It's for all ages. You can check out the information and RSVP to that. Again, it's November 9th in Wheatley Heights. So check that out. All right, so we went to Dinner en Blanc. It was my first year ever going to Dinner en Blanc. Maya and I went, and we covered the event. Maya covered it for Shades of Long Island. I covered it for Conversations with Verdel Jones, so I went on location. So, we did a little interviewing and, just talking to people that were there. It was a great event in the sense that, like I said, I've never been. And people don't know where it is until it actually goes down. So I thought that was very interesting. And the people, what they were wearing and the outfits was outrageous. So I want to show you a little bit of what happened at Dinner en Blanc. It is now time for dinner. Hey, Conversations with Verdel Jones is here live at Dinner en Blanc. We are so excited to be here. We're looking forward to a great night. Dinner en Blanc started in Paris in 1988 when a group of friends gathered together for an elegant night out. This event is now a worldwide phenomenon. This is Long Island's third installation of the all-white attire elegant affair. We are here with Denisha Boston Hill and Shinoy Skeet, and they put together this beautiful event. Dinner en Blanc. Right, I pronounced that right. Correct?
We are on Long Island.
Long Island.
We are on Long Island.
Yes, this is gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
So what was the inspiration for you to create or to bring Dinner en Blanc here to Long Island?
This gentleman right here.
Okay, all right.
I was a producer in New York for about 7 years before we brought it here to Long Island. Denisha here, I met her a few years ago. She's very connected on the island here, and I initially wanted to do it in Brooklyn. She kind of pushed me to Long Island. She's like, hey, it's too much going on in that part of the city there. And you know what? She wasn't wrong at all. I love the community here. I love the locals.
We're not just the Hamptons. We have so many attractions, the beaches, our mansions, and we wanted to ensure that people experience them.
Politicians, celebrities, media, and well-known organizations come out to support Dinner en Blanc. So what brought you out to Dinner en Blanc?
Well, this is an event that it's my second time attending, and I'm in support of one of my constituents, Denisha Boston Hill, who does a fantastic fantastic job hosting this event and many other local Long Island events. And so I think it, just my best opportunity to share in some of her activities.
Yeah, it definitely is. I was saying before that I lived on Long Island for all my life, and I've never heard of this this venue, and it's just beautiful.
Exactly. So she's been very deliberate to move around Nassau County from the South Shore to the North Shore to bring people from the region to some of our most precious, I would say, jewels that people just don't know about.
Right. And from what I hear, it's about 1,500 people that are in attendance or will be in attendance today.
Yes, and so she's done quite a job logistically in getting people here, and people have come from all throughout the region. I know I have friends here locally and some that have come from Queens and Brooklyn and even further than that.
How did you get involved with Dinner en Blanc?
So certainly we saw Dinner en Blanc happening in Manhattan and throughout the world really, and it seemed like such an exciting event. And when we heard it was coming out to Long Island, so close to us, right in our backyard, we said we had to be a part of it because it would really introduce the Nassau County, Suffolk County attendees, and Queens, Brooklyn, who will come out to Resorts World. So any opportunity I get to be a part of something that certainly has a large audience, sophisticated audience, we're going to want to be in there so that they can learn about us and we can know who's out there.
For more information on Long Island Dinner en Blanc, go to longisland.dinnerenblanc.com. So that's what happened at Dinner en Blanc. As you can see, everybody was dressed in their white, and it was just so much fun. And it was really the first time where I was actually going around interviewing people at an event. So that was really fun. And I wanted to also thank Maya for helping me put that together. So thank you, Maya. So today we're going to be talking about change. And remember, last time I talked about season 5, fall, being about change. The leaves are changing, the weather is changing, and change is inevitable. And part of embracing your life, you have to kind of realize some changes you may need to make. So today we're going to be talking about the changing face of Long Island and how millennials kind of impact that. And we also, on Let's Kick It with the Joneses, which you'll see later, we're going to be talking directly about the future of Long Island and empty nesting and kids coming back home to live. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back we're going to have Next LI here, and they're going to kind of unpack some of the data that they found in reference to this age group between 18 and 34 and some of the things that they think about Long Island. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to Conversations with Verdel Jones. As you see, I have my first 2 guests here, and we are very excited to have them. We have Amanda Facina, and she is the Next Long Island Project Manager. And we have Coralie St. Louis, and she is the Next LI Outreach and Engagement Manager. So when I got, and you have a copy of it, just show people this copy right here. When I got this, I don't even remember how I got it, but I'm a Newsday subscriber, so I must have got it in my news.
Yes.
I was really intrigued by the information that was put together from Next Long Island. So if you can explain to everybody, what is Next Long Island about, or Next LI about?
Sure. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
So Next LI is a project of Newsday that is made possible through a grant from the Rouse Foundation. So it's an interesting combination of powerhouses on Long Island. And basically, we were trying to build a digital town hall that can connect Long Islanders, so we could talk about the future of the region and the challenges and of what people face here.
Right. So I'm assuming that there was some type of impetus to why this data was collected and why people were surveyed. And we're going to talk about how you got the data and all of that. What was the reason for conducting such research as this?
So I think Corrali's out in the community a lot, and we're seeing all these people having conversations about the next generation of Long Islanders, but there is no concrete data about who they are, what they think, and what they want the future here to look like. So we thought, let's set out and actually get some numbers to put to it.
Right, because you can say anything, right?
Yeah.
So what's
exactly.
going on at your community outreach manager? So what types of things were you hearing, and was it before you got started with the research, or just explain that a little bit?
So that was before we got started with the research. But basically, the survey itself was to be able to profile the next generation of Long Islanders. But before we did the research, I was out in the community trying to better understand what some of the challenges were and what the issues were that people were mostly concerned about. And people just wanted to know what is going on with this generation. What are they thinking? They're coming back, they're leaving. How do we keep them here? How do we get them going? How do we give them a better future? And that's why we wanted to do this survey.
It's very comprehensive. So let's just jump into it a little bit. How many people were in the survey? What was the demographics and age groups of the survey? Like, who did you speak to?
Sure. So it was very important that this survey hold up to any standards of modern polling, and because of that, we hired an outside vendor to actually conduct it for us, called YouGov. They do a lot of online surveys, and we picked.
So this was online.
Yes.
Okay.
We picked online on purpose. We talked about it for a while, and
like how to get this information, right?
How to get this group,
right?
And every research company we contacted told us that you're not going to get them on their cell phones. They're not going to pick up. So it's online, and it was very important to us too that the people that we surveyed matched the demographics of the region.
Okay.
So it's professional statisticians went by the census numbers of the racial and ethnic breakdown of Long Island, and then we set quotas for how many of each group had to be surveyed to be statistically relevant,
like valid.
Right.
So you actually, when people answered how did you get the survey to people?
So YouGov was very, very helpful with this. So we did the questionnaire, and it was dozens and dozens of questions on so many issues.
Okay.
And basically, YouGov has a panel that they draw from. It's millions across the country, but they were able to geo tag down to Long Island, and they summon their panel and say, hey, you want to take a survey for Newsday Next Long Island. And then it make sure it hits all the quotas.
Right.
We ended up with around 1,800.
Okay.
And that's both current Long Islanders in the 18 to 34 age group, and those who are currently living in New York City but were born on Long Island.
Okay.
So we're able to have two different samples.
Two different kind of perspectives, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, the study answers the question: who's the next generation of Long Islanders? And one of the things that in reading the study, they were talking about Suburbia and how Suburbia got started, and everybody knows about Levittown and World War II veterans coming home and all of that. And Long Island is really a suburbia. It's the beginnings of a suburbia, back in the day. Can Long Island keep that alive? And I think that's some of the things that when you look and delve into the information, you find. What did you find shocking about the statistics or the data?
I don't particularly, because being a member of that group,
Right.
there wasn't really anything surprising. It was just revealing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Especially on housing. We found that no matter what age you were at in the demographic, whether you were 18 or 34, no matter what race or ethnicity, no matter what economic bracket you fell into, housing is a challenge to every single group. And one of the reasons they don't find Long Island attractive
Right.
or want to stay here. Our data journalist, he's not here tonight, but he's great with he's run these numbers a lot of different ways for us. And the survey found that 67% plan to leave Long Island in the next 5 years.
Wow.
Which is, it's a lot.
It is. So, okay, so we have this information, right? The data shows 67% of this age group, they're leaving Long Island or they plan to. What does that mean for Long Island?
I mean, they're going to lose a lot of workforce, that's
Right.
for sure. And the population is aging. Who's going to take care of the older generation?
Population, yes.
Right.
So, it poses a real big economic challenge.
And also we keep talking about the brain drain and people leaving,
Yeah.
but we're also not taking into account the people who do live here, who cannot afford to live here. What does it mean to that population? And
Right.
what kind of solutions can we bring to the table to help them find more housing that is affordable?
Right. Let's talk about housing. That is, it's a major issue. And like I said, I was reading the data, and I know just from, being here that housing is really a serious issue. So let's just unpack some of the information that you were able to gather from the people who responded about housing and what can we do and what do they prefer. Like you see a lot of the train stations now, having building apartments and stores like Wine Dance Rising. They had this big project. Patchogue is not the Patchogue that I grew up with, So it's just Bay Shore. Like all these little towns are trying to
Revitalize.
Exactly.
And just bring something different.
Exactly.
And that's also what we found with the survey. Even though people, they still want the suburbs, but the next generation, they want something different. They want
Right.
something more modern. They want
Yes.
smaller apartments. They
Right.
want mixed use housing. They want to be able to walk around. They want these downtown areas.
I want that. And I'm not in that age group.
Exactly.
It's just the way of life.
They don't want the McMansions
Right.
that have come out here.
Yeah.
They don't want the 4-5
Wow.
bedroom houses. More of a townhouse, walkable.
It's interesting.
That was one of the most striking finds that we offered. The way we worded the question was, which different types of housing options would you support? And it was
Right.
mixed use, transit oriented,
Yeah.
accessory apartments. We offered that as well. That came in very high too. That being able to turn some of these bigger houses into having legal accessory apartments that maybe could have multi-generational. If the grandparents and the kids are living together, they could live a little separate if
Right.
we could make some apartments in
Right.
these single-family houses.
Interesting.
So the survey showed a lot of support for alternative housing on Long Island.
Right. Okay. And does that have to do with the reason why we don't have these? I mean, public policy has a big implications on all of this stuff. So how does the survey actually impact public policy? Like what? I'm sure people want to know this information, right?
In our mind, people can now be empowered by this data. Before, it was just you hearing it around, at the coffee shop, at the soccer field.
Right.
But now there's like actual numbers to it, and you can go to your politicians, you can bring it to your community meetings, and actually use the data to maybe show that, hey, the 10 people that might be against something who might be louder than this group.
Right.
But here, the support for it is
They're worried about
here.
traffic. That's all I hear.
Yeah.
And traffic is bad anyway.
No,
but,
it is.
but it's true. You have a few people, and we always say this when we're watching the news, and there'll be this new project going on, and you'll have people complaining like, they need to not do that because of traffic, and that'll lower our property values. And it has to be like a mind shift. it's okay for you to live here and live this way, but we want to keep our young people.
Right.
You know?
And that's
for both.
And that's also what we want to do with Next LI outside of the data and the research and the surveys that we're doing. We want to build this community that's going to impact policies.
Right.
And that's going to be empowered with this information that we're putting out there to go out to these town hall meetings and to make their voices heard, because it's not just the silent minority anymore. We want them to be a majority, and we want to give them that information to be that majority.
Right. So 18 to 34 was the age range,
Yes,
right?
for this survey.
For this
specific
particular survey.
yes.
So how do you get those 18 to 34-year-olds active and engaged to impact and influence the policy?
So this is what we're looking at now. So based on the survey and our findings, we realized that housing was on everybody's mind. And
Okay.
just outside of the 18 to 34, everybody's talking about housing,
Yeah.
everybody's concerned about housing. So we started a housing task force, and that's made of housing organizations, people who are advocates for better housing options on Long Island.
Right.
So it's just bringing different heads together to strategize a better way to have a conversation about housing. How do we shape this narrative where people become interested in housing, and that's going to get them out to these town hall meetings and to these zoning meetings.
Right.
To have that conversation, because we're having these conversations in silos.
Yes.
And we need to be able to
Absolutely.
get together and understand where is it that we want to take the island. And that's what the task force is doing. But we also have these features and these projects that we're working on, and we really think that the community is going to be really excited about them. So we have a housing calculator that's going to look at income and rent ratio and be able to look at how much you're paying for rent in your area compared to other communities on Long Island. So you're able to compare that just to look at how much you're making, how much you're bringing in, and how much of your income is going towards rent. And we also have a map that we're building to look at the housing stocks across Long Island. So we're looking at 55 plus housing, mixed use housing units, transit oriented housing. And it's just to be able to give people a better visual of what rental housing looks like on Long Island and what needs to be done. Because it's one thing to talk about housing and to talk about the issues and the challenges that we need to overcome, but we also need to understand these challenges so we can take the conversation forward.
Right.
And that's what we're doing with these maps and the task force. So our task force this week, we're talking about affordable housing. What does affordable housing mean?
What does it mean? What does it mean in a place like Long Island, right?
Exactly. What is affordable? And it's like this term affordable, we keep hearing it, but we don't know what it means.
And it's so loaded.
Very.
And, I feel like sometimes people don't think of it as it's what your kids could afford. It's, you just have to be a little bit more open-minded about
Right,
it.
because the thing too is, we always coming from, a college, trying to get kids an educated mindset. The kids fill out FAFSA to get financial aid. That FAFSA is a federal form. So people on Long Island, anytime they fill it out, they say, I'm not getting any money, because it appears that they're making a lot of money, not compared to compared to the rest of the country. So it's kind of a similar thing in that, you could be making a nice salary, what's considered nice, but you still can't afford to live here.
Exactly.
Or build up any savings.
Right.
Or it's really, and then you look at other cities and other suburbs,
And you can have a nice house.
You can do it.
And that's why you have the exodus of people just moving
Exactly.
to different places where they can't afford it. So our task force, we've been going back and forth all week, and it's like, hey, can we talk about housing that is affordable?
Right.
Not just affordable housing, but we need housing that's affordable for everyone, and that fits within our budget.
Right. So we could talk about this forever, and I would love to talk about this forever. I have questions about diversity and all this stuff, but I think housing is such an important issue. If people want to find out more about what's going on and the projects that are going on, how can they tap into it?
So our website is next.newsday.com. Everything's on there, but we also have a Twitter account, NextLI, a Facebook group, NextLI.
And they can always email us at nextli@newsday.com.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
This information, I love it. I would like to have you back to talk more about this stuff.
Well, we have a lot of information in
You
this
do.
book that we can talk about,
I
and then
know.
like future surveys that we're working on.
Right,
So it's like
absolutely.
there's so much going on with Next
So
LI.
much going on. This was a pleasure.
And we really want to bring the community in.
Yes.
So it's not just us doing the survey and getting
Right.
these numbers out. We want the community to have a voice and
Right.
to be a part of this conversation too.
So thank you so much again for
Thank
being
you.
here. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have our next guest. Welcome back to Conversations with Verdel Jones. As you see, I have my next guest here, Godson Michelle. He is a digital marketing specialist and the owner of Blue Surge Marketing Agency.
Yep.
And you are a North Amityville native.
I am.
And you also, in your bio, you said you were a multi-potentialite,
Yep.
right? So what does that mean?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me.
You're
Congratulations
welcome.
on season 5.
Thank you. I
see a lot of
appreciate
work
that.
you do in the community, so it's so awesome and it's a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
be here.
I appreciate that.
A multi-potentialite
Mm-hmm.
is someone who, I think in my words, is always able just to accomplish any task that they put their minds to,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's whatever industry, whatever field, and I feel like that's really helped shape me in my career and everything that I've done.
Yeah, so you also are a sneaker entrepreneur, and you founded a company called Kickbacks.
Yep.
It's an online sneaker marketplace, and you grossed over, which is insane, $1 million in sales
Yep.
at the peak of during the peak of this company. So. But now your focus is kind of wanting to help small businesses and nonprofits
Yep.
to kind of get their social media and digital marketing technology game up.
Yeah.
So what made you go into business for yourself?
Well, I originally was going to school to be actually a physician assistant. So
Okay.
medicine is really my first passion. That's where the whole multi-potentialite. I switched
Okay.
a couple times, and then in the middle of doing that, I was working at a sneaker store, and I was making minimum wage money,
Right.
hustling in the mall.
Right.
And I realized there was this kind of way where instead of selling the sneakers at the mall as an associate, I could just do it on my own and kind of cut out the middleman.
Okay.
So I had that entrepreneurial spark.
Yes.
And I figured it out, and it worked out really well.
Right. And when did you start your business, that particular business?
I started my business, the first sneaker business, Kickbacks, in 2013.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, we were talking with Next LI, and we were talking about that age group, 18 to 34, and the struggles that, we're facing with housing and all of that.
Right.
Do you see your generation, because you fall into that generation, do you think that your generation has more of an entrepreneurial spirit? Because I've run into a lot of millennials who are, doing their thing in business.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like, between the economic crash that happened while we were still in middle school, high
yeah,
school,
right.
I think we saw a lot of our parents, lose jobs, lose homes, things like that. And I think it kind of
Good point.
kick-started us when we were younger to
Right.
we got to figure this out. A 9 to
Do
5,
something different.
I'm not going to cut it. And I think we kind of created that little hustle mentality, and that's how we kind of got into
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. So what do you think about living on Long Island?
I think it has its challenges, but I enjoy it. I mean, I grew up here. I think it is expensive, but I think that we have a lot of great organizations and groups, and even the work that NextLI is doing,
right,
that's
absolutely.
going to help solve a lot of challenges that everyone faces, not just millennials.
Right, I think so too. I totally agree with that. You need that. The focus on what are we going to do?
Right.
We really need to act on it, and the more
Absolutely.
open minds you have about solving the problem, the better it's going to be. So, now, did you go away to school?
No, I didn't. I actually
Okay.
went to school at Toro College in Bayshore.
Oh, okay, all right. Because I was going to ask you if you did, why'd you come back?
I've
So
been
you don't
here.
have any plans to leave Long Island?
No, I like it here. I like the West Coast too, but
Right.
I'll probably be here for a while.
All right. So now your business kickbacks, right? You were able to be successful with that. It's an online business, right?
Right.
Did that spark your interest to develop Blue Surge Marketing Agency?
It did. It was actually spawned directly from it. So,
Yeah.
Even while I was doing the sneaker business and I was successful with that, I realized a lot of other entrepreneurs were coming to me and asking me how was I so successful with social
Right.
media
Yeah.
and
How'd
using
you do it?
Instagram, Facebook, and things like that. And I realized there was another opportunity, an even greater one, to do a lot of more work in my local community and help out local entrepreneurs, small mom and pops, and things like that.
Right. So tell everybody what Blue Surge Marketing Agency actually is.
Sure. So Blue Surge is a digital marketing agency, and what we do is we have a different suite of services where we help small businesses, nonprofits, whether it's web design, social media management, pay-per-click advertising, so being able to, rank higher on Google with SEO, search engine optimization, and also photo video production. So it's a wide suite of different products and services that we offer, but it's
Right.
essentially what we do is help businesses, nonprofits, figure out how to leverage and get in
Right.
front of people's eyes in
Right.
2019.
Right.
It's so much more different now than it used to be.
It really is. Business it's really shifted, and with the type of work that you're doing, that particular marketing has always existed,
Right.
but the way in which you kind of implement it is rapidly changing, and it changes every day.
Right.
So when does an entrepreneur, a small business, small mom and pop, when do they give it up and hire you for your services because they can't do it? Like at what point would you say companies get to where they can't handle it anymore? Probably the beginning, but anyway.
Yeah, probably yesterday.
Right.
But no,
Exactly.
I think it's important that whether you hire Blue Surge or any marketing agency,
Right.
it's always important that you try it on your own. You see what works, what doesn't. See what you can keep in house, and eventually, when you realize you're hitting that point in scale where you're not able to manage it anymore, or
Right.
there are gaps in your knowledge, that's where I think it would be wise to look outside and maybe outsource some of that
Right.
work that you aren't able to do on your own.
Right, because what happens is maybe you might not be spending money, but you're spending a lot of
Yes.
time.
Yes.
It's really involved, and I think I was sharing with you, a while back that I built my website. It took me days to figure out, and I still don't know half of the stuff that I
Right.
did. Like, there's little glitches that I really can't, sort out myself.
Yeah.
So it's important to get the help that you need.
Absolutely.
So how do you start with a company that you're working with? Like, what are the first initial steps? Is there a needs assessment? Like, what do you do? How do they know what they even need?
So the first thing they do is, usually they'll come to us and they say, hey, we need help with social media, we need help with Snapchat, or we need help with a new website. So one of the first things we always do is have a kickoff meeting, an initial consultation with the client, and explore their business first. Because before we can fix any problems, we need to know what we're tackling, what we're looking
Right.
at. And what we find often, a lot of times, is that even before we delve into the main issue they're looking to solve, there's other issues that need to be addressed first.
Okay.
So a lot of it is really being systematic and being able to make sure that whatever they're looking for is exactly what they need right now to
Right.
solve their business problem.
Right. and I think a lot of people also struggle with it's a gig economy.
Yes.
So even, people in my generation, they have, we always talk about multiple streams of income. So
Right.
you're always trying to do the next, the next
next hustle.
thing, right?
Right.
So sometimes it's difficult for you to even know what you want to do.
True.
So do you help people sort that out as well?
Yes.
Yeah,
A lot of it is ideation and, even helping them realize, like, okay, for your business, if you're selling makeup, Instagram is a good platform for you.
Okay.
But, if you're selling toilets, it might not be the best way for you to get your stuff out. You know? So a lot of it is just helping people figure out
Figure it
things
out.
that they know, but they may not want to accept it.
Yeah,
initially.
exactly. They need somebody to tell them.
Right.
So you have a team, and I always say, talking to entrepreneurs, the team is important. So how do you surround yourself with a team that kind of has the same mindset to help you for you all to grow?
Right. So the beauty of Blue Surge is our team is pretty nimble, and the majority of us are millennials. So we all kind of grew up in, like you said, this gig economy, where we grew up with a lot of this technology, with these new versions of websites and social platforms and things like that. So I think just by having a team where we're all on a consistent basis and we understand and we grew up using the same stuff, we're able to work more effectively and help target the businesses that need our services better.
So so you started your kickbacks, right? How did you know what to do? How did you, because you were successful with that.
Right.
Blue Surge, you're doing well with that as well. You guys have to go to the website. I'm going to show that later. But how did you know how to do this?
I mean, honestly, it's I feel like Business 101 at least, or even just the information age that we're in.
YouTube.
If you don't know, YouTube
You
it,
can Google it.
I think that was like super effective.
Right.
And just being able to, I think in any business, whatever you're in, if you can find the information that you're looking for, it takes you a long way.
Right, yeah. It's just having the time sometimes to be able to do it, Like I need to be sitting in front of a computer. I don't like looking on my phone. I want it all, like I have to sit down and really go through it to learn it. Some people can just look on their phone and figure things out, but I need space. I need a big screen. So what's one piece of advice that you would give individuals that are in business for themselves?
One piece of advice, value your time. Value your time. I think, we always talk about time as our most valuable asset.
Yes,
and I think sometimes we spend so much time trying to nickel and dime things, we don't realize that, if we're able to manage our time more effectively, we can get the job done a lot faster and save money.
Yeah, right, absolutely. That's so true, because sometimes you spend so much time and you will be losing money because you could be doing something else with that time.
Right.
So I read in your bio that you are an avid traveler.
Yes, I am.
So what's the best place you've traveled to?
The best place I've traveled to, I want to say maybe Mexico.
Okay.
Or maybe the Bahamas, but I am going to New Zealand and Australia.
Oh well, that's going to be the best place.
So I'm looking forward to it. A lot of bungee jumping, skydiving.
Right.
So that should be pretty awesome, actually. Yeah.
So where do you see the conversation that we had with Next LI? And you seem pretty optimistic about the future of Long Island.
I do.
Why do you have that optimism, and where do you see yourself going? With Blue Surge, and you'll probably do multiple businesses, I'm sure. But where do you see that?
I mean, I think that the beauty of Long Island, is that because we're next to such a great metropolitan New York City, even though we do have instances of brain drain, I believe that because we're next to such a huge conglomerate, we have the ability to grow, restructure a lot faster than other regions in the country.
Right.
And I think that's just a huge strength in regards to workforce and information and things like that.
That's true. That's definitely true.
Yeah, and then in regards to just my businesses and moving forward, I mean, I feel confident. I think that ultimately, where we're going with information and with Amazon and Facebook, all these big companies, I think as whether any business owner, as long as you're able to grow and use the information and learn, you'll always be able to survive and adapt.
Yeah, right. And there's people I think also need to understand there's a piece for everybody.
Yes.
It's just about how you go about and get that piece for yourself, right? The pie is very big. So when people contact Blue Surge, what can they expect from you and your team?
Great customer service. More questions than you thought you had, and great results at the end of the day. We are strong believers in, we treat your business like our business.
Right.
And we want to make sure that whatever services we're providing to you, you're getting top quality and we're getting the job done right the first time.
Right. So how can people get in contact with you?
Yes, you can actually go to our website, thebluesurge.com. You can also email us at hello@thebluesurge.com. And you'll be able to reach any members of our team, and we'll be able to answer any questions you may have about your business, social media, website development, and anything in regards to marketing.
So we're going to put up your contact information just in case people didn't get that, to make sure they are able to reach out to you. So I want to thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
a guest on
Thank you so much.
Conversations
And
with
thank you
Verdel
for the mug.
Jones.
I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. It's awesome.
So you too can join in on the conversation. Get your mug today.
Please, please.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have Let's Kick It with the Joneses.
Dropping gems from Keisha Christian. She's on a mission, sharing information, knowledge for soul, body and mind. Dropping gems, KeishaGems.com, KeishaGems.com.
Welcome back to Conversations with Verdel Jones. We are going to check out Let's Kick It with the Joneses. It's brought to you by shadesoflongisland.com. It's the first media outlet to highlight youth and diversity on Long Island. Thank you, Shades, and I happen to know the editor-in-chief very well. So we are going to be talking about empty nesting. We're going to be talking about young people living on Long Island. We had great people on talking about issues concerning Long Island and millennials. So, the struggle is real for our young folks, but Let's Kick It with the Joneses, we're going to talk about how that impacts us. So check out this intergenerational conversation.
So let's kick it. Kick it.
We are here for another segment of Let's Kick It with the Joneses. Verdel,
Maya,
Jeremiah,
Marcus.
hey, so we're just gonna get right into it. We are really excited that we as a family are doing Let's Kick It with the Joneses. We're gonna be sharing a lot of information. Really, it's just gonna be conversation.
hey.
Oh boy.
So we wanted to kind of talk about being empty nesters. So Jeremiah and I were empty nesters for a good how many years?
2.
Right. And now what's happening is we're finding a lot of people that are in the same boat as us. They're either empty nesters or they were empty nesters. They love being empty nesters, or they're about to be empty nesters.
Right.
So for you, people who are empty nesters out there, enjoy it while you can.
Right.
Because what happens?
Yeah, they come back. They come back. This is a good thing.
It is a good thing. So how do you guys feel about being back? Like you were in Brooklyn for a little while,
Yeah.
and coming back from college. How did you guys feel about coming back to live with us?
It was nice-ish. Like it was good-ish as far as it's nice. It's nice to be back and everything.
Right.
But when you're on your own for as long, I guess, as I was, I mean, after college, I came back for a little bit. Then I went to go to Brooklyn.
Right.
Stay, like you said, stay there for years, and then I came back. It's nice to come home, but part of you seems like you lose a little bit of independence. Like, I mean, you guys are cool about, like if I'm going out or whatever, you're not, you don't really ask too many questions as far as like, oh, what you're doing, doing all this. I mean, you ask questions out of, being concerned, like, oh, like, where are you going? Like, oh, I'm heading out here. Like, okay, cool. And, and I'll tell you, like, oh, we're heading out here.
Yeah, you don't have many stipulations.
No, not at all. I mean, at this age, there's no reason to,
Right, Especially with you being on your own, you done had 3 apartments.
Right.
Lived in 3 separate apartments.
3 separate apartments, right?
Yeah. So I mean, where we at?
Plus, on his own when he was in college,
Right.
kind of basically in
At this point,
California,
I mean, right.
Yeah.
That'd be silly.
Right, exactly. And Maya, like, what was your? I mean, you were coming from a different space. You were in college, but it's a little different.
I would say for college, it was definitely like it isn't the real world, but you do still have a sense of like independence.
Right.
So it did feel good to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And like Marcus said, it's good-ish. I mean, I like that I'm able to come back because a lot of kids around my age, the parents will be like, oh, there's the door.
Get to stepping.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I'm fortunate that I can come back so I can get on solid grounding.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's good-ish. The ish part comes in the sense that, when I was in college, I could, go here, do whatever I want, get whatever I want to eat and things like that. And coming back here, it feels kind of like going back to, like, high school, like-ish kind of phase but it is still different, like Marcus said, like, in terms of, like, you guys don't really put too many stipulations, like, just, I let you guys know where I'm going when I'm going to be back, just as a courtesy more so.
Right. One of the things that is of interest too in this conversation about kids coming back home to live with their parents is the expense of Long Island and living on Long Island, being on Long Island, and owning and eventually owning a home, if that's something that you're interested in. Like, I know you had expressed some. You were actually in a little clip on TV talking about.
Oh yeah. About millennial
mm-hmm.
home ownership and everything.
Right. So, like, where do you see yourself as far as that's concerned?
Well, as far as owning a home, I mean, my boss one day was just talking about sort of like the work that he was doing, and a bunch of other coworkers were sort of like talking about the work, and I kind of just chimed in like, well, that must be nice. I'm never gonna have that. So I guess that's kind of my mindset as at least right now, where it's like, well, as far as Long Island is concerned, I'm never gonna get a home.
As far as Long Island.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. I don't want you guys to live anywhere else, but at the same time, I understand it a little better because of the expense.
It's so expensive. It's so pricey living on Long Island. It's like, I mean, I'm not opposed to eventually owning a home on Long Island if I can afford it, but it's like, when you think about it's expensive, and it's like years down the line, like how much more expensive is it going to get, in terms
It's not
of
getting cheaper.
It doesn't seem like it's getting any cheaper, right?
So when you say that, like, I don't think I'm going to be able to have a home, is it because you don't want a home, or is it because you don't think you can get a home?
It flip-flops. I mean, the thing about home ownership, you have a home, and you can do what you want with that home.
Yes, you can.
And that's definitely the best case scenario with that. Like, owning a home, like, you own it. That would be awesome.
Right.
So I would like to have a home for sure, but at the same time, apartments are cool too.
I don't think we ever even thought that we wouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't a thought in our mind that we would not get a house.
Right.
I thought, we're
That's
going to
what
get
you
a house. That's what you do. That's how it
Right, that's
works.
what you do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You get the job, you get, the career, whatever, and you get the house. And,
That's it.
That's it. Our parents did it. I'm going to do it. Why, why not?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a thing of, I don't recall a thing of Long Island being so expensive.
Me either.
A thing of thinking about it being as an expensive situation. I don't know. Something changed in maybe the late 80s or something like that. I don't know what.
Yeah, and I think it's with your generation, it's the job market has kind of shifted a little bit. So like for your generation, it's important to to grind, and because it is a gig economy, to really go after certain things to get what you want, in a different way.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I feel like we definitely are, because especially with me and Marcus, we both work in media, so
Right.
it's kind of like a lot of people we know. They'll be at CNN for 2 years, and then BuzzFeed for 3, and then
Right.
this place for 5. Like it's a lot of bouncing around, and the job market itself is very fluid. Like back in the day, especially I know with journalism, you could be a journalist and then you could go on to PR. Like it's not like it might be looked at as like, oh, as a journalist you might have a slant and things like that. But the job market in general seems a lot more fluid, and people can do different things. So it just encourages people to do different things, and the whole 7 streams thing is
real.
7 streams of income. So it's definitely a thing.
I think stuff like Uber has made that a thing.
It has.
Like people.
That's one of those jobs.
People, yeah, that's a lot of people's that's their main hustle, that's their side hustle. Like
Right.
I'm going to do Uber just to make a little bit of change.
Right. Yeah.
People change it, man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
about it's about generating that income in a way, and I think also with millennials, you guys want to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's the other part of it.
That's
you
true.
know, you can get a job probably doing whatever you want. Let me take that back. You can get a job doing something you might not want to do,
They don't want to settle.
but you don't want to settle.
That's very true.
Exactly. They don't want to settle, which is, what? Okay.
Well, the thing about that is that because it's a weird job market where it's a gig economy, but it's a bunch of gigs and a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Like there's a bunch you can get paid for the silliest things.
Yeah.
And that's what people see. I mean, that's like the YouTube craze. Like people are getting paid to be like influencers or whatever.
Right.
Like
right.
that kid
Change
who won.
agents.
That kid who won. How much was that? I think it was like 14 million. Was it 14 million?
What, with the video game?
Yeah. He won.
Yeah.
I don't know if that might be too high. Maybe it was like.
It
3
was in the millions.
It was
in
millions.
whatever it was. This kid.
Anything in the million was too high. But anyway, go ahead.
He won this Fortnite competition. He's like 14 years old, and he won like $3 million.
Playing video games.
Playing video games. Like, back in the day when it's like, yo, you shouldn't play video games, won't make any money off that. This kid did.
Wow.
Exchange.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, do you know how to play video games?
No.
Oh, wow.
Why would you ask him, not me?
Because okay. Okay, so can you make some money?
Get on it.
Get on it.
I mean, I could technically.
Get on it.
I could stream. I could do Twitch.
Okay, well, you know what? That will
You
be
need to Twitch, scratch,
Mixer.
work, whatever you need to
whatever
do.
you need to do. Bring
Make
some
that-
money
make
up
that
in
loop.
her.
Okay.
Come on.
I need to be more of a personality in order
Make
to
some
do
of that
that.
money.
Well,
You can
you
be a
have a
personality.
personality. Yeah, see. Okay.
We're already off to a bad
Is he
start.
funny?
Right. Is he funny?
She doesn't think I'm funny.
He's not funny.
She does not think I'm funny.
Wow. She
I feel like I make you guys laugh all the time. I ain't funny. Whatever. Well, who's laughing now?
Who's
Your
laughing
mom
now?
will think
You know what? You'll be funny when you bring in that $3 million check.
No, you won't be
I won't.
funny. That won't be funny at all.
How about that?
That'll be a joyous day.
So
Laughing our way to the bank.
I want to thank everybody for watching this segment of Let's Kick It with the Joneses, and we will see you next time. See you later.
Peace.
Y'all are funny. So we have really had some awesome guests today. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to wrap it up. So again, thank you for watching Conversations with Verdel Jones. Let's Kick It with the Joneses. We really did talk about, some of the things that our millennials are facing. So I want to thank our guests for being here and bringing that conversation, like in a cohesive conversation about what's going on Long Island. You know what? We had Next Long Island on. I want to thank Amanda Facina and Coralie St. Louis for being here from Next LI and sharing such wonderful information with us. And I also want to thank Godson Michelle here from Blue Surge Marketing Agency. Just a dynamic individual that's doing great things. So again, I want to thank everyone for watching Conversations with Verdel Jones, and we will see you next time.